and boo and raise a hullabaloo at the ball game today.
Hey everybody, it's me, Rick Acosta, the Dodger Card Collector, coming to you with another video. Today is Friday, March 28th, and we are now officially in the second day of baseball season. I tried my hardest to put out a video for opening day yesterday, Thursday. Just between work and life, I haven't had a chance to make a video in a couple of weeks, and I haven't watched much YouTube in the last couple of weeks. It's just been a busy time, and being busy is good. So I do like that. But I thought I would release a video today on Friday, still talking about opening day, just because for me, it's for me, it's the best time of the year. You got your baseball season's is starting. We're in the middle of March Madness for college basketball fans. The NBA and the NHL are both starting their playoffs in about 3 to 4 weeks. And even if you're a football fan, the NFL draft is going to be in a few weeks. So it's a good time of the year. And for me, baseball is kind of, like just a renewal in a good way. It's interesting because I have found myself in the last several years really becoming a football fan. I've always been a football fan, but probably since the Rams moved back to LA and I have my tickets, I look forward to my Sundays watching football, and I have a good time following football and getting into football. But baseball is really my true love. The Dodgers just played in Japan over a week ago, and those were 2 regular season games. And don't get me wrong, I watched them, and I was happy the Dodgers were 2-0. But to me, yesterday was like the real opening day, and I had to go to work. Luckily, though, at the office, we got to see they were showing the Yankees and the Brewers game. And so at lunch, I took my lunch and watched the game. I think I watched 3 innings, and Yankee Stadium was beautiful. It was just like a beautiful sunny day. The skies were blue. I don't know what the weather was like. The crowd, it looked like a sellout. It just looked like everybody was having a good time. And it reminded me when I was a kid of even a young adult and an adult even as of 5 or 6 years ago. We'd go to opening day all the time. And I would go I'd probably go every other year to opening day. Whenever the Dodgers opened at home, I would go. And I would go with my brother or my cousins or childhood friends or coworkers, my nephew. And I got a video that I did a couple of years ago. I'll leave a link for it because I have a story about opening day that still supersedes anything. And I was going to talk about opening day, but then I realized when I saw the Yankee game, and then last night I watched the Dodgers opening day ceremonies, and I saw Kirk Gibson come out. He threw out the first pitch. A very frail looking Kirk Gibson. I know he's not doing well. I believe he has Parkinson's disease. But they brought him on as a connection to the Freddie Freeman home run last year in the World Series in Game 1 against the Yankees. And they just connected the 2 dots between 1988 and 2024 and got to see the Dodgers ceremony. And tonight is the ring ceremony. The players are being given their World Series rings. So I'll be pretty emotional about that. But for me, this is just the best time of the year because baseball is a part of my everyday life. Even when it comes to baseball cards, I am a baseball card collector because I am a baseball fan. And I've said this a few times on my videos, and there's a side of me that doesn't understand why there are people that collect baseball cards that don't know anything about baseball or don't follow baseball. I do understand there are people out there that are like, I liked baseball as a kid, I liked it as a young adult. I don't like it now, but they still know who Aaron Judge is. They still know who Shohei Ohtani is. But for me, baseball is a big part of my life. And it brings back a lot of memories in my life. I was fortunate enough, and those of you from the Los Angeles area know what I'm talking about. I was fortunate enough to grow up in Southern California, and I got to listen to Vince Scully every day. Every day. Um, Back when I was a kid, the Dodger games were not on television unless they were on the road, and had to listen to a transistor radio, and I listened to the Dodgers every day. Um, my mother told me that she gave me a transistor radio when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and she told me years later, she goes, "You'd fall asleep with the radio on when I'd come to say goodnight, and she would always listen to what I was listening to on the radio, and she said you always had the baseball game on." And the funny thing was, when Vince Scully retired in 2016, he wrote the fans a letter, of which I have a copy of framed in my living room. That's basically, I'm paraphrasing here. Were you one of the fans that I put to sleep every night listening to the transistor radio? And for some reason, I got really emotional when I saw that, because that was me. I would listen to him every night. And in the afternoon, if they had a day game, I would listen to him. To the extent that when I got older and things changed, and the Dodgers all of a sudden had all their home games shown on television and all their road games were on television, Vince Scully would still keep me company. So would other baseball announcers. The Angels had Dick Enberg as their announcer. The Padres had Jerry Coleman. The who came off the top of my head? Watching NBC, they had Kirk Gowdy and Tony Kubek, and eventually Joe Garagiola took over. But I grew up around great baseball announcers, and they were just the soundtrack of my childhood. And even my life to this day, there is nothing that I love more than coming home, turning on the TV. It doesn't have to be the Dodgers. Yes, usually it is the Dodgers that I watch. If the Dodgers are not playing or whatever, I usually look for a Blue Jays game, a Yankees game, or an Angels game. And I watch and I listen to those guys in the background. And then sometimes, I'll be honest with you, the baseball game is just on in the background. And I'm sorting cards. I'm on eBay. I'm putting stuff into VCP. I'm doing some Excel spreadsheets on my cards. And the baseball game is always on in the background. And this is my life 6 to 7 months out of the year. I have grown up, and I become an older man that listens or watches baseball every night. Yesterday, I watched the first inning of the Dodger game at the office, and then I drove home. And unfortunately, I live in Los Angeles, which means I have a lot of traffic. So I listened to innings 2 through 7 on my car radio, and I still love it. Nothing better than baseball on radio, baseball on television. And I love this, like I said, I love this part of the season, because here is where my company comes in every night of the week. Like I say, if the Dodgers are off, I'll watch somebody else. I'll watch the A's against the White Sox. I mean, seriously, if there's an ESPN, one of those West Coast ESPN games that start locally at 7 o'clock, and the Dodgers are off, the Angels had an East Coast game, I'll at least leave it on in the background. And this is where I learned, between watching baseball, listening to baseball, and my baseball cards. This is where I learned who I liked, who I didn't like, the history of baseball. I tell people all the time, Vince Scully taught me almost everything I know about baseball. Joe Davis, the current Dodger play-by-play announcer, I don't listen to him the way I listen to Vince Scully, but he talks about the history of baseball a lot when it comes to the Dodgers. And I wanted to be a baseball announcer so much that in college I was the sports director of my campus radio station, and then I would do one game a week on cable television, and I would insist on doing the games by myself because I wanted to emulate Vince Scully. So I learned a lot about stats and doing research and what are we going to talk about during the game and what type of stories are we going to have, all that stuff. And I learned that from baseball and baseball announcers. And that's one of the reasons I still collect baseball cards. In fact, it just hit me as I'm sitting here talking to you guys that the 2024 Topps Heritage High numbers came out this week, and I need to look them up because they didn't come out late last year, and that emulates the 1975 Topps design, and I need to finish that set. So I'm always thinking about cards. I'm always thinking about baseball, and I hope that you guys. I appreciate when people tell me they like baseball. I'll be honest, I get turned off by certain people on YouTube or in life that just don't like baseball, but for some reason they collect baseball cards. That's an interesting topic. So, what are we going to do today? It's 2025. I just talked to you about the 2024 Dodgers, but we're going to go back exactly 70 years, 1955. 1955 was the first year the Brooklyn Dodgers finally beat the New York Yankees and won themselves a World Series. So I am going to show you a set that's the 1955 Golden Stamps set. So I'm going to show you some cards. We're going to talk a little bit about it, and I'll be right back. And I'm back. I forgot one thing I wanted to talk to you guys just because I am a baseball fan. These are my divisional picks for the 2025 season. I thought I would throw them out there because I've never done that before, and we'll see in October if I was right or if I was wrong. So let's take a look. American League East, I have the Red Sox winning. American League Central, the Detroit Tigers. American League West, the Texas Rangers. And my wild card teams in the American League are going to be the Yankees, the New York Yankees, Kansas City Royals, and the Cleveland Guardians. Those are my 6 teams that I'm picking in the American League. In the National League, I am picking to win the NL East, the Atlanta Braves. The National League Central, I am taking the Cincinnati Reds. My Central Division picks are interesting, the Reds and the Tigers. Let's see what happens there. But I have a feeling the Reds and the Tigers are going to have big seasons. We shall see. And in the National League West, Los Angeles Dodgers. I won't apologize for that. Wild card teams, I had struggled with this because there are 4 teams that I thought could really had a good chance. So I'm going to take 3 of them. No particular order, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the San Diego Padres. Those are my 6 National League teams. I have in the World Series the Red Sox playing the Dodgers, and I have the Dodgers winning again for the 2nd consecutive season. Start throwing tomatoes at your televisions now. Of course, my attitude is, and this is why I get kind of upset when people say the Dodgers are spending too much money, blah, blah, blah. All I say is to all the other teams, just make it to the playoffs. Because if you make it to the playoffs, you have a really good chance of making the World Series. And the Dodgers might not even be in the World Series for you to play against. Because it's hard to win in the baseball playoffs. So that's always my attitude. Just make the playoffs and you never know. You might make the World Series and you might win the World Series. So again, Dodgers versus Red Sox. Let's see what happens in 2025. All right, now we're going to go look at some baseball cards. All right, so we're going to talk about the 1955 Golden Stamps collection. There are 128 pieces. Each card or each stamp measures 2 inches by 2 5/8 inches. Now, the entire collection is actually comprised of 4 distinct sets. So there are 4 different sets featuring the Brooklyn Dodgers, the Cleveland Indians, the Milwaukee Brewers, and the New York Giants. Each set has 32 stamps that honor a player or a manager, or in the Dodgers case, even a stadium. So in this case, these cards that I'm going to show you, this is the entire Dodger team set. But if you wanted to get the Braves or the Braves or the Giants or the Indians, there are guys like Hank Aaron, Eddie Matthews, Willie Mays. There's some great players in this set. Now, all of these unnumbered stamps were designed to be placed in a 32-page book or an album that features black and white drawings of each player's with their batting averages and their life stories. These are readily available on eBay. I think I see them. They're in all the stamps are in the book, and then it's your job to tear the stamps out of the book, stick your tongue under each stamp, and then affix it into the photo album section of the album. When I bought my cards, these were all the stamps had already been taken out. I didn't get the album. These were just the cards. So the first two cards we're showing are Carl Erskine and Johnny Padres. Now again, this is a very cheap way to have a vintage Dodgers set, you guys, or a vintage Giants, Braves, or Indians set. And these cards are readily available on eBay. So those are the first two players. I think we'll do two at a time until we get to the graded stuff. Here's Russ Meyer and Jim Hughes. Russ Meyer and Jim Hughes. So you're going to see a lot of Dodger role players here, along with some of the stars they have. And yes, I have some duplicates because I bought these cards from Facebook. A guy on Facebook sold these to me several years ago. He wanted $100, and it included all these cards, with the exception of one, which I'll tell you about in a moment. Here's Joe Black. I believe he was a Rookie of the Year for the Dodgers. And Roy Campanella. So there's Campy. All had blue skies that day when they did these cards. By the way, the backs are blank, so they're blank backs. And then here, I'm going to do these two all at the same time. I have two Jackie Robinson cards. So here's Jackie Robinson. Who knows? Maybe someday I'll send those in for grading. But there's Jackie Robinson. And then let's put Jim Gilliam, longtime Dodger player, longtime Dodger coach. He's in there. So I don't think there is one player in this set or from the roster that's missing. Let's see. Pee Wee Reese, Carl Furillo. I like the Pee Wee card. Just that look of being happy to be a baseball player. Batting helmet on, got his baseball bat. Blue skies, a little bit of clouds in the background. Pee Wee looking happy. All right, next up is the World Series hero of Game 7, made the legendary catch, Sandy Amoros, along with Don Zimmer. I would know Zimmer more as the manager of the Padres, the Red Sox, the Cubs, and eventually the bench coach for the New York Yankees. But Don Zimmer did start his baseball career with the Dodgers. All right, let's see if I know these next two guys. We have got Al Walker and Ed Roebuck. That's obviously taken at Ebbets Field there. A lot of these photos look like they're taken at spring training. I don't see many other stadiums, but this one here of Roebuck obviously is Dodger Stadium. And like I mentioned, there's 32 cards here in the set. I am showing you duplicates just because I'm showing you all the cards that I own. I know the guy, these are both coaches, Billy Herman and Jake Pitler are both coaches. They both have, I believe they both have 1952 Topps cards. Topps was into having some coaches at that point. So these aren't their first cards as coaches. Let's see. The next name is actually going to be not familiar for me. Yeah, here's where we get to the unfamiliar stuff. Joe Becker. And then I like this card on the right. Doc Wendler and Carl Furillo. Has he given him a haircut? I can't tell. But there's Doc Wendler and Carl Furillo in that card. And then I think this guy, I think this next guy is the Bat Boy. I'm telling you, they included everybody. Charlie DiGiovanna. Charlie DiGiovanna. And then, like I said, they even have a card for Ebbets Field. And there you get to see Ebbets Field in all its glory. Look at that right field. That's short. Everyone said that Ebbets Field was a little cozy and a little small. And you look at right field, this is not very deep. There's no stands. But what Charles Evans should have done was somehow bought this street and extended the baseball field. But no one listened to me back in 1955 or 56 when the Dodgers wanted a new stadium. So those are my ungraded cards. And then let's see. My graded stuff. Like I said, this gentleman in Florida sold me all of these, I think with the exception of one. And these were all included. So we'll start off with Walt Alston, Hall of Fame manager. At that point, he was starting his second season with the Dodgers and would go on to win 4 World Series for the Dodgers. Next up, Don Newcombe, Big Nuke, 1956 MVP. Good card of his. Now, the next card I'm going to show you, I already showed it to you ungraded, but here's Roy Campanella graded. Now, this one is graded cover because this card was on the cover of the photo album. This particular card made it onto the cover of it, so someone peeled it off from the cover and got it graded. So that's why it's marked HC cover or cover HC. There's Roy Campanella, Gil Hodges in all his glory. God, I'm looking at these cards. I'm kind of like going, I can't believe what I got for the price. Oh, and I just realized as I flip these cards over, the Roy Campanella, if you flip his over, he has the inside of the photo album cover right there. So he's the one card that doesn't have a blank back. Let's see. We're gonna do 2 at a time for these guys. Billy Lowe's, Russ Meyer. I know they pitched on the Dodgers a few years. Lowe's bounced around. I know he was on the Orioles and the Giants. Good looking cards. And then the next 2, yeah, let's put these guys together. I know who they are, but Carl Spooner, Clem Labine. I think I have duplicates on one of these guys somewhere around here, but we'll see. Yeah, the Labine. So he'll come up next. Now, the one card that wasn't included that I eventually found on eBay is the 1955 Golden Stamps Sandy Koufax in a 2.5. That was the only one missing. It wasn't difficult to find. I don't know what it would be like to try to find the card now. But back then, we're talking 5 years ago, this one was readily available. I think I paid maybe $40 for it. And there's Sandy Koufax. I got a duplicate here, Clem Labine, along with Frank Keller, too. I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't know his place in Dodger history. He just has a baseball card. It's a near mint 8. Like I say, these cards aren't that valuable, but they're still fun to have. There are some that are expensive, don't get me wrong, but some of these players, I'll be honest, I've never even heard of. Okay, it looks like I have 2 Duke Snyders. So this one's the cover. The one on the left is a cover, was the card on the cover, and then the one on the right is the card that wasn't in the cover. Let's flip this over. Yeah, he has the bottom player's legs. Yeah, see, and then the one that's in the album has nothing. It's a blank back. So I have these 2 cards from Duke Snider. Oh, one of my other favorite rookies from that era. Well, he wasn't a rookie at that point, but Tom Lasorda. Tom Lasorda in the dugout, smiling. I'm reading a book right now about the 1981 Dodgers called They Bled Blue. First chapter is devoted to Tommy Lasorda, and boy, did this guy like to fight. I never knew that as a player, as a scout. This guy just liked to start trouble and liked to get into fights. I'll tell you more about it after I finish the book, but I'm just like, wow, that guy was just brutally like to get into fights. Let's see, we might have some duplicates here. So I'm going to show, yeah, graded, Don Hoke, George Shuba, two role players. Don Hoke later went on to the Pirates and had a great career, or a good career. Played in the majors for several years. George Shuba, I know I have like a 1953 card of his. Let's see, the last two cards are both duplicates. I had them ungraded. I also have them graded. Head coach, or not, yeah, one of the coaches, Jake Pitler. Have that one graded. And then the last card, another version of the Ebbets Field card and a PSA 8. But that, you guys, is a look at the 1955 Golden Stamps, which, like I say, is a nice set to own, and it's a cheap set to own. But there they are, the 1955 Dodgers that would go on to win the World Series in 1955, 70 years ago. This October will be the official 70th anniversary. So, if you stuck around this long, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.
It's a beautiful day for a